Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we are going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we're going to talk about the new concrete reality. The new concrete reality. Every single Dungeons and Dragons game is public. Okay, and the reason why we're going to talk about this is the new the new 2024 Dungeon Master Guide says, hey, if you're, all you need to worry about at your table is the people at your table because your story is yours. This is 100% wrong. This is ludicrously bad information. This is completely and utterly wrong by every single metric. And we need, this is 2025. We're in the second 50. Okay, we're in the bright 50. The first 50 years of Dungeons and Dragons were dark. We were just like feeling around, not able to see because there was no light, with no dark vision, right? Now we are in the light. Like New York Times rolling up on Dungeons and Dragons, writing articles weekly about it. Like people like Elon Musk is hearing it. President Donald Trump is hearing about Dungeons and Dragons from Elon Musk, right? Like the world has fundamentally changed. Dungeons and Dragons is not in its space it was before. It is routinely discussed by the most powerful people, the most powerful institutions in the world. The idea that Dungeons and Dragons is a game is a ludicrous fallacy and completely ludicrous, laughable, complete jester belief. It is a luxury belief of the most ridiculous kind, in my humble opinion. The idea that Dungeons and Dragons is a game is absurd. Like, Elon Musk took time from talking to the president to weigh in and consider buying Dungeons and Dragons, right? This is a guy who has satellites in the sky, talks to the president every day, and is running the number one environmentalist company in the world, Tesla, on the edge of self-driving cars. This dude is like a modern Lex Luthor, and he is taking time out of his day to talk about Dungeons and Dragons. We're here. We're in the light. We're in full light, right? Like, first was the 50 dark, now we're in the light 50, okay? We can see, and we are being seen, okay? And so we have to do it right? There's no more time for your nonsense. We've got to get it right. You got to follow me if you want to get it right, because your path is nonsense. Okay, let's go. All right. Here we go. Every single Dungeons and Dragons game, every single Dungeons and Dragons campaign, every single Dungeons and Dragons campaign is 100% public. Okay? Everybody has to understand this. What happens at your kitchen table does not stay at your kitchen table. Do you understand that? It never will. This is a ludicrous fallacy that any Dungeons and Dragons game ever is anything but 100% public. Okay? All right, so let's get into this, okay? Why? Why is this true? Well, there's an age-old saying, and you best not forget it. Two people can keep a secret if one of them's dead. Okay? You tell a story at your table. You should have zero expectation on anyone that anything said at that table should be private. You should expect that every single word that happens at that table can make it outside of that table, right? Told by told by the Dungeon Master, or the Red Dragon Master, the White Dragon Master, the Black Dragon Master, the Blue Dragon Master, and the Green Dragon Master. Anyone and everyone has the full right to tell that story 100%. And no one should expect that any run D&D campaign is anything but 100% public. It's not just you and the table, okay? Now, why are we talking about this today? Well, I recently ran a wonderful campaign that I really enjoyed. I was really thankful to the Iron Player for playing that. It was really good. It was really good, right? And it was a great campaign. And I ran it in FLGS. Okay. Now, first of all, he is witness to that, right? And so he can go and he can tell anybody he wants the whole story, right? I have told every part of the story here on my channel, right? Now, I did keep that player's name out. And the reason why is, and I would suggest you do this too, right? You own the story. You can say anything you want about the player characters. You can say anything that happened at the table. And not only can you, I'm saying you should. You should. You should say, like, these stories are powerful healing balms. This is the narrative aloe that will heal the world. This is what Gary Gygax intended. He never, ever intended Dungeons and Dragons to be a silly goblin shop. Drink some soda, and swill down some soda and gobble up some salt pretzels. He never intended that. It was never intended for fun. It was always intended to heal the world, in my humble opinion. And we are about it. And people laughed at me 5 years ago. But now, sorry, President Donald Trump. Sorry, shut up, Trump. I gotta go talk about Dungeons and Dragons. I ain't got time for you. I ain't got time to give you advice on how to end the war. I don't have time to tell you how to end the war in Ukraine right now. I need to go to Twitter, which I own, and talk about Dungeons and Dragons. We are being talked about at literally the highest levels of echelon. Like, their American government suffers so that things can get put right on Dungeons and Dragons, right? Oh yeah, I know you really want me to tell you how to end the war in Russia, President Trump, at me as Elon Musk, but I desperately need to fix Dungeons and Dragons right now. Your stuff is secondary. Do you understand where we are now? Right? It is incredible, right? And the things I said seemed laughable 5 years ago. Now the New York Times is writing articles about Dungeons and Dragons and using words like identity. Like identity, right? Identity stacking. That's my term. They're just one word away. They'll be there 2 years. 2 years from now. You understand? Right? The concepts I was talking about 5 years ago are being openly discussed on the page every week in the New York Times. That's where we are, right? It is incredible, okay? All right. So we reach this point, right? And what I'm saying is that we've reached this point where you have to understand that your Dungeons and Dragons game is completely public, and everyone at your table should take that narrative and carry it forward. Now, I believe that we should keep, and I've done this for years, I've done this for years. We should keep the players' names off the docket, right? I don't out players who played at my table, right? And the reason why is I know, right? I know they don't agree with me on a lot of things. They don't agree with me on how Dungeons and Dragons should be played. They don't agree with me on politics. They don't agree with me on American culture, right? And guess what? Yours don't either. You think they do, but that's because you're projecting on them. And you're thinking of them as simple, one-faceted, elements, right? And they're not, right? And so we own the narrative, but I don't think we should out people unless they want their names attached to, and so that's important. We should protect the privacy of the identity of the people who played, but the narrative should be public. It should be public. Not like you don't have, like, way beyond, you have the right to share that narrative. Every player at the table should tell that narrative. Last thing, the reason we're talking about this is I ran an FLGS game, a D&D physical table FLGS game, right? And I will say it was really an honor, right? Because one, the staff of the shop got to hear the story, right? And different people came in, got to see, the full Lego spread, the MTG, the Magic card spread, and the Dungeons and Dragons. And so when people come in and they're like, what is Dungeons and Dragons? People don't know. We know this from the movie, right? From Dungeons and Dragons Honorable Thieves. We know this. We know they don't know, right? And so, so what I thought was really interesting was this concept of, I thought this was really fascinating, where we arrived, right? Um, what's the best way to explain this? Oh yeah. So, you know, they come in and they're like, what is Dungeons and Dragons, right? And one, it's hard to understand it when it was regular, right? When it was just, oh, we get out these books, we make a character sheet, right? Now, they're looking at it and they see they see the DMG, the PHB, and the MN. They see Lego minifigures all over the table, and they see Magic Gathering cards all over the table. And so they're still in the zone of, I know D&D is important, I know it exists, I know it's active, I know it's alive, I know it's growing, but I don't know what it is. And the reason why is I think like three people on the planet actually know what D&D is. I think I'm one of them, right? And there's a couple others, right? It's a complex, incredibly complex thing. But the reason we're talking about today is not only did my Iron Player hear the story, the staff heard the story, people coming into the store heard the story, and a dog heard the story. There was a dog who was kept. I think he was kept by one of the worker people, and so and yeah, so he was behind the counter, right, and he was working at the store, like pretty wild. But there was a dog in the store, and that dog heard the whole tale, right? And I just love the idea that my story changed the lives of the player, the staff, the visitors, and the dog. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. Nothing more, nothing less. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.